Main Street MEES program, Main Street Emergency Economic Stimulus Program, right? So it says the Main Street Marshall Plan from Poverty to Shared Profit is a forward-leading investment of $4 trillion over 10 years. Look at the program, right? It's 70 million black folks in America, right? And 50 million, based upon 50 million. You time multiply, go to there, multiply that time the platinum package, right? And then hit it with your 30% fee. And the reason I give 30% because this is your business. This is a business. Teach you how to do your Schedule C, your taxes, and so forth. So this is your administrative. This is the administrative overhead, because we don't have overhead, large facility structures, and so forth like that. I said, okay, the normal G&A for this type of company will be about 30%, right? Healthy G&A about 18%. So 30%, right? So that 30% goes to you an affiliate commission, so you can help build the movement. So that way you can take this concept and bring it into your homes and to yourself, to your homes. So now we can start rebuilding and healing and eventually we want to replace this ministry with the ministries that are in our communities, because now we want to deal with our spiritual, academic, and economics of our community. And that's why they build these big churches and so forth, but the community around it, they're getting older, right? And they're dying off. And the children are not doing the right thing because they don't know how to do the right thing. They're not being educated properly, because those who can, they're not living there anymore. They've moved out. So now you got a new community of people moving in. So now you got to share your rent space that all these people build this building fund into a building structure into themselves, right? And now this new community comes in. Now you got to share your church, rent out half of the church, and keep from losing it. So you stop from losing your church. So you have to rent it out, right? Okay. It says jobs in the United States economy has emerged from the depths of the Great Recession, and in an impressive fashion, approximately 11.3 million jobs have been added with unprecedented job growth for 75 consecutive months. Yet African American unemployment at 8.1% remains nearly twice the white unemployment rate of 4.1%. A situation which has been true for far too long, particularly among young ages 16 to 24. Now that's a sweet spot right there. That's a substantial income and self-help. This program, it's a solution. And this money they're talking about, we can raise that money ourselves. And then we can use this plan right here, the funding that he's talking about, to put the icing on the cake. Listen to what I'm saying. Then you can go to the Main Street Marshall Plan. Just Google that. You can pull the plan up yourself. And let's see. I made some notes here on some of these paragraphs here. Just like I said, these recommendations should be tied to votes. No delivery, no votes. So you have to got to grow up. Got to be men. You got to be thinkers. Your child like mine got to go away from it. So if you want our votes, then you got to deliver. So this Marshall Plan should be like, wait a minute, let's tick these off. 70 years gone by, and they just sending out the same stuff. These nonprofits, come on now, the same thing throughout our whole communities. They're just talking at us. No change. But the change has to come from the people. The change has to come from the people, because this top-down stuff doesn't work. So we have to stop being lazy. We got to educate our minds. You know what I'm saying? We got to put a value on education and a value on knowledge, because knowledge is power, but only if it's used effectively. We're begging again as a people. We have the ability to implement these programs ourselves, and when we get a head of steam, demand that the government fund our continued progress. You can't put good money after bad money. Entrepreneurship. We're talking about the plans of entrepreneurship. An action plan, entrepreneurship. So, course in financial management. And I take a holistic approach to it. You can take classes here and there, and so just like what I teach you how to balance portfolio management. You know what I'm saying? You don't balance just your investment portfolio. You have to balance your skill portfolios, all your talent portfolio, your income producing portfolio. So that has to be balanced. Because sometimes, you got to get your hustle on. You got to make it from different income streams, right? So, then your investment portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And different skills help you at different. Like when I was in the military, I was a pharmacy tech. So when I left the military after 4 years, 8 years, I worked as a pharmacy tech in the private sector, working my way through college, helping take care of my family. Then after that, I graduated and so forth. Even during college and stuff, when I was at UCLA, I worked as a research assistant because I knew about drugs and so forth. And they were doing research on all the hallucinogenic drugs, in the world. So I had to research, copy papers and stuff. And they had a research facility there where they had an actual automobile and stuff. They get in there and they get people high, on different drugs and see how they react when they're driving. And then they would pay the students so much money for participating in the study. And that's how they got drug abuse, drug addicts. They did with heroin in the communities. They did it all over. So they get them drugged up and then they leave out and just how to do it, man. Get you give to you for free and they get you hooked up. And then you got to lose your mind and try to get it. The game. All right, entrepreneurship and minority businesses are critical to the future well-being of America, to its economic survival and to maintain global competitive advantage. We have to become global participants. But first of all, we have to become a participant in our own lives. We have to show up within our communities. So we can find each other again. So we can love each other and put down these toys, man, these gadgets and stuff. And there's one kid, he walking down and said, "Yo, man, watch out for that tree, dog." He looked up. He walking blindly and not looking where he's going. And in the school, that's the worst thing in middle school. These kids ain't paying attention. They on their phone. They should not have no phones up in there. Because they're doing everything other than what they should be doing. They don't have the discipline yet because they're not getting the discipline at home. So when they come to school, they show they're not disciplined at all. The discipline and structure come from the home. We have to do this. We have to do this. It says, according to the SBA's Office of Advocacy in 2012, 8 million minority-owned businesses, Black, Hispanic, Asian, American Indian, contributed $1.38 trillion in revenue and 7.2 million jobs to the economy during the economic recession from 2007 to 2012. A net 2 million minority-owned businesses were created, while a net 1 million non-minority-owned businesses closed. So, the stats show that if we put our mind to it, we can do it. But the problem is, where's the wealth going? It's not being passed off from one generation to the next. So if the parent's successful, then the kids don't want nothing to do with it. They want to do their own thing because they're not being structured and disciplined when they're young. Because of the divisiveness in the homes, breaking up of the homes, no equally yoked family matters, so you get caught into some other kind of drama. So it shows you these little statistics here, but it's 70 million of us. So this is 7.2 million. You do the math. Right? 0.01% or something like that. It said, despite this, the MBEs have failed to realize their full economic potential. Although census data shows that Black-owned businesses are growing in number at a faster rate than for any other group. First of all, that Black stuff has no political meaning at all. It has no substance at all. So whoever came up with that, that nonsense, Black, they don't call them white. They do call them white, but, I guess it really doesn't matter in the end as long as you take care of business. Everybody call themselves different names. So 97% of Black-owned businesses had annual receipts greater than $250,000 a year. 85% of Black-owned businesses had greater than 10 employees. Black-owned businesses generate 43 cents on the dollar compared to white-owned firms. So it's showing you, man, if you get it together. But the thing is that how do you harness, And I had a note here. If this is true, where is the wealth gap hemorrhage? We talk about this wealth gap. That right there, I don't know where they get that data from and so forth like that. It doesn't but just dealing with those numbers right there. If we put our mind to it. But the problem is that it's not recycling. That money they're making is being dissipated, evaporated. It was like if you had a water system that it's not, the proper irrigation system. You just water it, and most of the water is evaporating in the air. So that's evaporating in the air because we don't have a system that we can take that money and recycle it. And I remember one time I had hey Deborah, how you doing? It's going to play again, so check it out. So let's see. All right. These they said increase the access to capital for small minority, women-owned businesses, and so forth. The problem is that we have to capture. We have to capture those resources. I remember one time I belonged to some organization, and these brothers, pro-black. Then I remember I went to his office one day, and he had a white vendor that came in, and it's good to do business with everybody, because people got different skills, but this guy was selling black church robes. It was on Crenshaw that did the same thing. I'm like, bro, and he's preaching, black unity and spending money among blacks. For certain things, if you can do it yourself, you need to keep that money. Then he saw the look on my face, expression. He got it, but I'm like, bro, you should have invited me at this meeting at the time you had him come here. See, because that's the problem. That's the leak. We have to recycle. See, they don't come in and so they want to buy some food or go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles or something like that. They're not coming into our community to spend money. And the only reason they come in, you see them now, is because they're moving into the community and taking over precious resources that we sell them to them, right? And I told you this joke before. The white people say, well, they just holding it for us anyway. So, because we don't understand how to pass wealth on. So whatever they got, they just holding it for us, so they're going to give it right back at the end of the day. I'm like, because that's the way it is. And this progress here we just talked about. The money is not recycling properly. And that's what Power Through Unity is all about, the whole concept. So we can learn to develop these skills that necessary to be successful. You just don't want to just open up a business and think that everything is going to be cool, because it's not, right? It's a deliberate act. Right? And they ask for these different things: fair lending laws, increased funding for the expand public-private partnerships, opportunity to access affordable and sustainable business capital, continue funding for community development, expand micro lending. This is crap. Decrease requirements for collateral, access affordable, sustainable business capital, promote online lending platforms, incentivize large banks to partner with black-owned banks. That's begging. Promote entrepreneur education programs. That's what this is. Now, all this stuff is begging. They've been doing this for 70 years. So, is this honest? Small businesses receive the technical assistance they need from trusted nonprofits. Oh, trusted nonprofits. You guys keep giving these reports out a year for 70 years, the same thing. Are you a trusted nonprofit? We have to take the solution into our own hands. Eliminate discrimination practices and expand opportunities for minority-owned small business. And we don't care about that. If we take control of our own destiny, we don't care about that. Just like we shouldn't care who the president is. Once we get our house in order, it's going to hum no matter what. Because every president now, we still poverty and struggling, right? We need to take that out of the game, but it's a thought process. Do you have the will? We can give you the capacity, but do you have the will? We have educated brothers and sisters like myself. I'm not the smartest man, but I'm showing up. We have geniuses within our own community. But we got to quit knocking on. You can knock on that door because that's where the cash flows are coming in. But you got to be able to take it back home, a portion of it back home. And the numbers that I ran go